Welcome to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. I'm James Groves, and along with my business partner, Bill Dement, we want to share our journey as small business owners with you. As owners of Hole in the Wall drywall repair, we will attempt to peel back the curtain of owning a small business in the trade service industry and talk about the many adventures of owning a small business. Hey there, Bill.
Hey, good morning, James.
How are you?
I'm fine.
This is a good day. I always say that, though. Maybe we need to come up with a new line.
It's podcast day.
It's podcast day.
And we are starting to get in a real rhythm here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're getting into April this year, and spring has sprung.
New studio, feeling good, looking good. We got a new feel. Kind of fun.
It's good. Yeah, all positive.
So we've got a great guest today.
Speaking of positive,
my buddy Kyle.Davis from Integrity Financial Group. Welcome, Kyle.
Thank you. Hello.
Excellent. Kyle's a long buddy of ours.
Yep.
And I remember my first time meeting Kyle. He's the financial advisor in our networking group. And I met with him. I said, Kyle, you know what? I'm not a rich guy, and I don't know any rich people. So I don't think I'm ever going to be able to pass you any business. So,
but you did, didn't you?
Boy, I was wrong.
Boy, were you wrong.
Boy, were you wrong. I was just rocking out to your intro, to be honest. I'm just chilling over here. Like, yeah, keep going, man.
Yeah, all right. We'll play some more later. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. What can a financial advisor person teach us today? We're going to learn all that good stuff.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so much. I'd love for our audience, though, who doesn't know you already, to kind of learn about you a little bit and kind of what you do and kind of how you got where you are.
Sure. Well, like James said, my name is Kyle.Davis. I'm the owner and founder of Integrity Financial Group here in Orlando, Florida. I am a financial planner. Got 5 licenses, 3 designations, and more letters after my name than in my name. I'm sure you've seen those business cards before.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's changing all the time.
Right.
That's I think the number one thing of talking to somebody like me is what's current, what's new, what do I need to know now? Because every 5 years the entire landscape changes, and I think that's why it's important to know somebody and have somebody that you like, that at least you can talk to.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Even if it's a family member who's knowledgeable about certain things, or a professional, or even, your HR person who deals with 401ks a lot. They have some wisdom to share too. Just having someone to talk to, though.
Yeah.
And staying current.
The financial climate is, for someone who doesn't really follow it, can be very confusing. You got your NASDAQ, your S&P, you got your FTX, Bitcoin collapse, you got all this stuff going on. And frankly, we're so busy with our heads in our business, it's hard to know how to navigate those financial waters sometimes. And which I thought was kind of cool for you, because I know that you have some tools in your tool belt that you can maybe guide the small business owner, whether they're just starting out or they've been seasoned and maybe they're late in the game, to figure out how to make sure they take care of themselves in the long term.
Certainly. And it just comes down to doing real planning. I've gotten the question before, Kyle, you're a financial planner. What does that actually mean? Well, financial planning can be as simple as a single purpose, a single goal, solving a math problem, essentially, or going as deep as you want with as many what ifs and scenarios that you could possibly come up with. And it's really just having the chops and the tools and the visuals. Really, most people are visual learners, and having the visuals to be able to support this, I suppose, story through line, this journey, really, this whole journey, because it really is. And I think you made a really good point with, us being business owners. And I think most of your audience who listens to podcasts are business people. Is that about right?
Yeah, business mindset for
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's so easy. It's so easy to not put ourselves first.
Yeah.
It's so easy to, get caught up in the day-to-day and email jail and just really, get bogged down in the minutia where, and then you come up for air a year from now and it's like, well, wait a minute. Well, hold on. What? It's 2023?
Mm-hmm.
And I think for most people, and this is just kind of a generality, but with business owners, I think it applies even more, is that it does get overwhelming often, because as business people, we have, things that we're dealing with every single day nonstop, and then trying at the same time to make financial decisions that are going to impact us 10, 15, 20, 30 plus years down the road.
Right.
Yikes.
Yeah. And it's
Well,
not
for some of us.
it,
Some of us not quite 20, 30 years.
Mhm.
I understand. I see where you're going.
Nor me.
Got him. It's really not fair in a sense.
Yeah.
Because I think, and one of my biggest gripes about this, whole industry that I'm in is I think sometimes things are made to be confusing and intimidating and unapproachable on purpose.
Hmm.
And I don't like that. I've always thought that this stuff should be very easy to crack, accessible, easy to get information from somebody who is competent to speak on these things. Did you know that if you hold a financial license, it is extremely unlikely you will ever be published in a book, be on TV? It's true. It's
Really?
true. Certain financial celebrities,
Mm-hmm.
none of them currently hold investment licenses
That is
Really?
interesting.
because because if they did, everything they wrote, said, did, broadcast would have to go through fiduciary compliance.
Oh, that is interesting.
So it creates this really strange dynamic that the people out there giving the mass advice don't even have the credentials
Wow.
to actually execute on any of that advice. It's really odd to me. That's why YouTube was fun when I came from a smaller operation. You guys
Right.
kind of know a little background
Mhm.
about that, but it's a smaller operation for a number of years until we're a registered private office with Prudential, so we have
Okay.
that Fortune 100
Mhm.
backing, which makes it a lot easier to do certain things for clients. It's
Sure.
been a godsend, really.
Good.
Pricing models better in a lot of situations, just good across the board.
Mm.
But the only drawback is when I was with that smaller firm, the compliance people were a lot more adventurous, let's say,
Okay.
in letting me make YouTube videos and do financial education.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I see both sides of the coin. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that a lot of financial information is pretty complicated, and it's learning the lexicon, the actual words used. And do you see part of your job as kind of putting that in a format where the average person can understand it?
Absolutely. In fact, the biggest compliment that I get from people, and the real feel good at the end of the day, is when someone walks out of my office and says, wow, you know what? I really understand this stuff now. After spending some time with you, like, it's not as confusing. I kind of feel like I know what I'm doing now. And to me, there's no greater compliment.
Yeah, I'm sure that's really fulfilling.
Yeah, that's a huge feel good for me.
Mm-hmm. So, as a business owner, what are some tools that we should kind of know about that we could plan for certain things in the future? Is there anything that, obviously we've got IRAs and such that we can work on. And if you're small, you may not even have a 401k plan with your company yet.
Right.
So what are some other tools that are out there that we should think about?
Yeah. Small business people surprisingly have a lot of options available to them that really aren't talked about well enough. And I know why they're not talked about well enough because, I'm just going to throw it out there. There's not much profit in it. It just is what it is.
All right.
But you've got these situations like solopreneurs, little mom and pop operations, the independent business owner who maybe worked corporate for 20 years and is now off on her own, doing her own thing, rocking and rolling, and maybe even hiring. There are sources of deductions out there, retirement plans, ways to put away money that are specifically for those people. And I'll throw two of them out there right now. And it's really these are just for 50 and under businesses, which I think most of our friends and
You're talking about under 50 employees.
under 50 employees.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it exactly. The two that immediately come to mind are the Simple and the SEP. A Simple is a very simplified form of an employee retirement plan. I call it a 401k light. And depending on how you set it up, there could be some administrative, there could be zero administrative, but it essentially allows employees to make deductions into a retirement account for them. It allows the employer to match. And there's no IRS reporting and there's no real oversight because it's only done one way. You can only do it this one way. It's not as flexible as these other big expensive plans. But if you just do it this one way and you stay within the lines, you can essentially have it for free.
It actually sounds simple.
Oh my gosh, this guy got me.
We're all dads. It's okay.
True. Yeah, true. True. And the other one that pops into mind, especially for the solopreneur and realtors and independent business people like solo operations, they love this one. It's the SEP. It's the Simplified Employee Pension, SEP. You literally fill out one IRS form and keep a copy, and boom, you have a plan.
Really?
And you can make massive contributions into this thing and write it all off. I'm not a CPA. I don't give tax advice, but I mean, the rules are the rules.
Yeah.
If you're allowed to take a deduction, you can take that deduction. Just want to make sure that you're in the right frame of reference, and always talk to your tax professional. Always.
So if you're a solo entrepreneur, having a SEP is as easy as just making that happen. So you can start investing in your future that way easily.
Oh, sure. It's really that easy. It's really as simple as going online and opening up an E-Trade account. It's really, it's the same process. You're just filling out one IRS form and keeping a copy. You're not even mailing it to them. You're just retaining a copy saying, here, I did this.
And obviously that's something that you could assist somebody with if they just wanted a little guidance.
Yeah, it's so easy.
Okay.
It's honestly so easy. Which is nice. It's nice that some things are easy. There's so much that's not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know that you've worked for people that I've referred you to, from elderly to really young people in their 20-somethings. One of the benefits of our podcast that we have really come to find out is that our employees are actually listening to the podcast. So even though our focus is small business owners and just educating an entrepreneur, let's take a few seconds and just kind of talk about some of the younger guys who may be listening, how they can start now in their 20s to prepare themselves for financial freedom down the road.
Oh, sure. And at that age, you've got the most important thing in your corner, and that's time. It's the most powerful force in finance is time. Time value of money alone is such a powerful force. And when it comes to, your young guys, people who are really just establishing themselves in their career, or even just learning how to take those next steps into their chosen career field, some of your guys will inevitably move up the food chain and be in more advanced levels of what they're doing. But regardless, I mean, everybody has access to, online trading accounts like E-Trade, TD Ameritrade. I mean, those are just as easy as going online and opening an account. If you're working and have earned income, you automatically have access to IRAs and Roth IRAs, which, that's something that's talked about fairly often. The education level on that, I think, is quite good. And it should be, because those are like, other than the 401ks, that's the main type of account, the IRA or the Roth IRA, that just your average Joe off the street is going to be using as their chosen retirement vehicle. And a lot of flexibility in terms of what you can invest in. You can't get too fancy. You've probably heard of like real estate IRAs and gold IRAs and stuff like that. You can do those things, but you have to work with a very specialty firm to make that happen. We don't handle any of that. It's very, very complex stuff, but it can work in certain situations. But it's really just, it's as simple as the act of starting to put a little money away. And
I was just thinking, it's like we think about saving for our futures. I'm going to have to put $1,000 away every month. I mean, just
no way.
We really don't have to do that, especially when you're young and you have the element of time. So doing something is better than doing nothing, right?
Absolutely. And I made a YouTube video about it many, many years ago. I did this grid of, at various ages and rates of return, how much you would have to put away each month, starting from zero to reach $1 million by the time you're 65. And 25 was the lowest bracket. And if you earned an 8% return, I mean, don't quote me on this, I'd have to look at the chart again, but it was somewhere around the high ones or low 200s a month.
Yeah.
To have $1 million by the time you're 65. I mean, I think that's wild.
So 25 to $50 a week.
Exactly.
The cost of going out to taking a girlfriend for a movie.
Absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And I heard a story one time about, and it's an example, but of two brothers. You mentioned a minute ago that time is the biggest factor.
Bingo.
And so there's two brothers, and one starts at 18 to put some money aside, and he does it till he's 25, and he never puts any more money in. And then the other brother starts at 25, and he contributes the same amount. They make the same amount of return on their money, and the second brother contributes till he retires. Well, which one do you think wound up with the most money? It's a great example, because the brother who started at 18, to support your point that time is the big factor. I always thought that was an amazing story. And I've shared that with my kids, and my kids are all, I mean, they're just college kids, but they're all investing.
Compound interest is your friend.
Eighth wonder of the world.
Yeah.
I think Einstein said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it make it, those who do not spend it, or something like that. It was something like that.
Yeah,
pay it. That's it.
Oh, they pay it, right?
Yes. Because you put something. I mean, think about it. You put anything on a credit card, anything on a line of credit, you are paying more than the price tag for that thing.
Yes.
Instantly.
Yes.
Instantly. A line of credit, even if it's a small line of credit, like a 4% HELOC or a personal equity loan or something like that. I mean, even something with low interest, you are still paying more than the price tag for the thing that you want the moment you finance it.
And Kyle, it's not simple interest; it's compound interest.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny because years ago, I got my first credit card. My grandmother had a co-sign for it, right? And one of the things that she gave me says, listen, this is for things, not food. It says, don't put your dinner on your credit card and then not pay it off at the end of the month, because you're now, for a $5 hamburger, you're going to pay on that $5 hamburger for months or possibly years. And $5 will turn into hundreds by the time you're all done paying that one hamburger off. Yes. So it's great for the young guys that are listening to kind of hear that. It's a little harder for them to think where to start. So I think immediately that if they just had their payroll department or their bank set an auto draft to a savings account, something that they can just pull, $20 a week. $25 a week, just away so they never see it, might be a place to start, right?
Yes. The act of saving, and I always say you must make your savings and investments a non-negotiable budget item. You wouldn't ever dream of not paying your cell phone bill. You wouldn't ever dream of not paying for the gas that you put in your car or making your car payment, or for those of us who have a mortgage, you wouldn't dream of not paying your mortgage each month.
Right.
Your saving and investing should hold the same weight. You can't even fathom not putting that money aside, because it needs to become a non-negotiable. Even if you're talking, like you said, $20 a week, $50 every 2 weeks, whatever you do. And what's nice is there have been a lot of enhancements, perks, et cetera, to things like 401ks and auto enrollment, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not here to talk about specific investments or anything like that or give investment advice.
Sure.
But what's nice is that the investments inside of these bigger plans like 401ks and 403bs, they have passed the test. They have passed the compliance test to be able to be considered for those plans. So what I'm saying is there is a quality barrier to entry to even be eligible to be in one of those things. So when you're a young guy and you have this 401k or Roth option or whatever at work, and you maybe get a match, you may not, but you have this investment selection, those investments are there because they are high quality. So I try to tell people, do a little research, ask questions, call HR if you need to, or call the phone number and ask questions, but don't be too intimidated. And don't get analysis paralysis of, what should I invest in? Yes, that's important, but even more than that is actually just doing it.
Right.
Plain and simple.
It's really great advice. Ready to start your own business? How would you like a jumpstart? Hole in the Wall Drywall Repair is now offering franchise opportunities for strong entrepreneurs. When you franchise with Hole in the Wall, we help you get up, running, and ready to start generating revenue fast. You get access to our comprehensive training program, continued support, and our proven business model that has allowed us to experience explosive growth. Achieve financial success while providing a valuable service to your community. Take the first steps towards achieving your entrepreneurial dreams. Go to holeinthewallfranchising.com. I know that things have changed a lot lately, and thank goodness I don't have to worry about it because I've got you and as a resource. So we've talked about the younger guys starting small, but now you're an older person. You want to move some money around, some investments. You've sold a house, whatever that is. What are some of the changes that have because you mentioned the other day that there's something that just happened that really works in our favor in that, like the amount you can put in has changed, the age has changed.
Yeah, they tend to move the goalposts in a good direction to index for inflation, et cetera, when they're talking about raising the limits or the income eligibility on certain things like IRAs and Roth IRAs and deductions. But the newest, latest, greatest thing that has happened in the financial world is the Secure Act 2.0. Back in 2020, yeah, back at the very beginning of 2020, the Secure Act started to phase in. And what that stands for is the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act. And right after that, COVID happened, and then the Trump administration signed the CARES Act into place. Well, what was really nice is the Secure Act was so well received across the board. Is that now the other side of the aisle, the current administration has taken it even a step further. And the nice thing is all the provisions in those new laws are just total wins and total positives for the average American. For example, it's not been completely fleshed out yet, but what is one of the biggest concerns for people who are in their 20s, maybe late 20s, early 30s? A lot of those people financially are still dealing with student loans, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Still an epidemic in this country. There are provisions in the new Secure Act that are, and again, I don't have the exact details because really nobody's been too forthcoming about, what they are, but it's in there that in lieu of employee matches for 401ks, employers are going to be able to contribute, air quote, match a student loan payment.
Really?
Yeah. So if that's the priority, an employer can help make that happen.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's not required, but that's a really cool thing.
So that gives us another benefit as well for our employees.
Certainly. And then, college savings plans, people put money away for their kids for college. Well, what if that money doesn't get used for college? Okay, it might lose some of the tax benefits. Well, hey, guess what? Now if somebody has a 529 plan or a prepaid plan, or really the 529 plan, and it doesn't get used for school, well, guess what? That kid can, over a certain amount of time, roll that money into a Roth IRA for themselves.
Very nice.
That's brand new.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
brand new. You heard it here first.
Really?
Yeah, no, I did. That's true.
Yeah.
All right. So say it again.
So 529 plans,
Right.
right? It's the tax favored plan to save for college, other than prepaid, which is basically you're just locking
Yeah,
in the
and
the
parents
price
would
of-
typically start that when a child is in elementary school.
Right, exactly.
And so the kid does not go to college, but that money's still sitting in that plan.
Right. Typically, if the kid didn't go to college, it would have to be used for somebody's education. So if it wasn't used for that kid, you could retitle it for another kid or maybe another, or even a grandchild or something like that. But it has to be used for somebody's education. That was the rule. Now, if it doesn't get used at all for education, and I believe the account has to be 15 years old or more, it's something like that. I'd have to get into the minutia. But there are time requirements. But those things will be eligible to be rolled into a Roth IRA in the student's name after that time requirement has been met if they don't go to school.
And so quick education, I know what it is, but the difference between an IRA and a Roth IRA.
Oh, yeah. So regular IRA, if you're eligible, when you put money in it, you can deduct that amount that you put in it. So if you're eligible and you put in $1,000, you can deduct $1,000 off your taxes. Again, if you're eligible, there's certain requirements. With a Roth, though, you do not get to deduct that money, but it grows tax deferred. And when you take it out at retirement, it's tax free. So if you're investing $1,000, yeah, you didn't get a deduction on it. But if that 1,000 is worth $5 in retirement and you meet the distribution requirements and, qualified distribution, bam, you're able to take the base plus the profit tax free. Whereas the regular IRA, you would owe taxes on the entire amount when you take it out because you got a deduction up front.
Right. So, you're
difference.
deferring the taxes. You're not paying the taxes on it going in, as opposed to Roth. You already paid taxes on that money.
Yeah, you're investing post-tax dollars.
Right. Right.
So the 529 then can roll into a Roth IRA. So that money's there for them down the road. They can retire and pull it out.
There are requirements there, but yes, that is something that can happen now. And that's brand new.
That's awesome.
They're expanding Simple and SEP. There's going to be Roth options for Simple and SEP now, those plans I talked about earlier. I mean, That's the thing. That's why I mentioned earlier. It really just comes down to, hey man, things are changing all the time. Just have somebody that you can talk to about this stuff when
Yeah.
it becomes relevant for you, and really just do a little planning. And it can
Mm.
be as simple as a couple of math problems, and that's your planning, or as deep as you want.
Right.
I'm curious, how much of your time do you find you invest keeping up with new things coming out?
Oh, it's a lot.
Is it?
It's a lot. And there's a lot of compliance requirements and education requirements on us because I hold 4 different licenses.
Okay.
Some of that continuing ed overlaps, but a lot of it doesn't.
Mm.
So, I mean, there's anti-money laundering we have to do every year. There's
Oh, wow.
senior suitability. There's laws and ethics that we have to do every single year. And then on top of that, 20 to 40 hour CE requirement for, certain licensure. But that's just the federal and state requirements. Then you have to stay educated just to be good at what you do.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm fortunate that, on a company-wide level, that education is always forefront. It's like very start of the day, boom. If there's anything brand new that everybody needs to know about, it's pretty much put right in our faces,
Mhm.
which is nice. But that wasn't a thing at my old firm. I have to go and find that stuff or wait for a PDF to come through, or hey, wait, what? What did they change?
Mhm.
So it's big, and it is a large time requirement. But honestly, it's well worth it, and it's always well worth it, because if you're the guy that's always bringing the current up-to-date information and bringing that value to the table,
Yeah.
you're going to be a resource for somebody
Mhm.
in a way that no one else is going to be able to
Yeah, I
compete
can
with.
see it. That just keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of people do a set it and forget it mentality when it comes to
I love
their
it.
investments.
I love it.
But maybe they've changed jobs, or maybe you're a teacher that has one plan, and then you leave that organization, go somewhere else. You have the ability then to help them. Because I know when my parents retired, they did not want to stay where they were, so they went to you, and then you helped them get situated. How easy is that process for you to kind of help them take over situations like that?
Oh, extremely. And that's probably what we do the most of,
Mm-hmm.
is helping people understand. Because I think what a lot of people don't realize is that if you transition, or if you leave a job or something like that, you're allowed to keep your money in the old plan as long as you want.
Mm-hmm.
You have no requirements to make a rollover. But what we find is, when we do the fee analysis, the expense analysis, or the risk tolerance analysis, some people are just way out of whack,
Mm.
like way out of whack. I've looked at statements before for like a 35-year-old, and I just look at him and I say, dude, did you realize you're investing like an old person? No,
Mm-hmm.
no.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I mean that kind-heartedly,
Yeah.
And he's like, what do you mean? And that's where the education comes in. Then
Yeah.
the process starts. And then he walks out understanding a little bit about investing. We have a game plan. But really, it's as easy sometimes as getting a statement, making a few phone calls, and really just doing the diligence. Because I always want somebody to know, hey, this is what you've got.
Mm-hmm.
Here's why it's good. Here's why you might make a change. Here are your other options available to you. And ultimately, they're the boss.
Mhm.
If they like what they see, great, we'll make a change. But if what they have is suitable for them and there's really no reason to monkey with anything, we don't.
Mm.
We don't, and we shouldn't.
Right.
It's got to be a positive, no matter what. And to your point with, the whole set it and forget it mentality.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad deal.
Yeah.
That's not a bad deal. If you told me you had, John over here and Steve over here, and John is putting $50 a week into his 401k and getting, he doesn't even know what the match is, but he knows there's some kind of match, and he just does that without thinking, doesn't even think about it, doesn't even monkey with it. He's in a target date fund, which is automatically adjusted for, age and risk. And then you've got Steve over here who's, sweating the details, and I don't know if I want to do this, and maybe I'll put $100. Oh no, never mind. I need to dial that back. I don't want to, and he just overthinks it all the time,
Right.
and looks externally too much. I would rather the set it and forget it guy, because he's going to build a balance no matter what.
And he'll have a better blood pressure.
It's true, yeah.
Well, one of the things you said earlier
Facts.
was enlightening to me, is that I always think someone's trying to shyster me, and
I get that.
it's like, all right, but you said that these are trusted plans, and if it's being offered, the chances of me being shystered are a lot less than I think.
When you've got something that is an ERISA compliant plan, and ERISA is the organization that oversees the big retirement plans.
Mhm.
And these plans have to pass ERISA compliance. The investments inside of them have to pass ERISA compliance. That's why the guy with a 401k who's maybe just doing a few bucks a pay period, set it and forget it. I know that guy's going to be in good hands because those investments wouldn't even be in the plan unless they passed a certain quality check, let's say. Because, I mean, we call it Wall Street Journal headline behavior, right? You get these guys, the Madoffs of the world, which, countless documentaries have been made about that guy. Harry Markopolos is my hero. He's the whistleblower, like the whistleblower, who for years tried to serve Madoff on a silver platter to the SEC, and they did not budge. Well, most of the SEC boards stepped down after it came to light. I love you, SEC. Don't come after me, but you guys were toothless 20 years ago. I really like where they are now. They're in a good place, and they are protecting the public.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really good. Well, Kyle, thank you for this great words of wisdom. Absolutely love having you around. I'd like to give you a chance. Is there any final words of wisdom that you would have as a business guy, a finance guy, as a father? What you got?
I realized pretty early on in business that it's easy to let it swallow you. It's easy to get so wrapped up and so grindy in the business that
it's true
that you kind of lose some of that of what makes you because you're so invested emotionally and time-wise in your business. So for me, as an entrepreneur of 13 years, I just celebrated 13 years last week.
Congratulations.
April Fool's Day, ironically, is my business anniversary.
Awesome.
But yeah, I can't believe it. Golly. But for me, the most important thing that I have to remind myself of is if I'm not getting it done during business hours, I ain't going to get it done at night. It's family. It's about making sure that you don't forget what's important. And for me, yes, I got small kids at home. I got a 4-year-old and an 8-month-old, and it is draining.
Yeah.
It is draining.
I
man.
remember those days.
Seriously, the wife and I have this tag team thing going, man, where we just have to shoot each other one look and say, I need to go away for 5 minutes. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Okay, see you in 5 minutes. See you in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Because it gets to be a lot. But between needing breathers and needing breaks and working too much, we have to remember what it's all for, right?
Yeah.
And I think in money and finance especially, it's not really about the dollars. It's about the love that's behind those dollars.
Yeah.
The things that we're doing, all this saving, investing, talking about all this money stuff, and really at the end of the day, it's because we want to make sure that the people we care about are going to be okay.
Yeah, well stated.
Yeah. I have an issue. And Bill and I talk about this a bunch, is that some people work really hard to save for the future. And I've known many people that have foregone things in the present and sacrificially to try and save for the future. And they either may not get there, or they may be too old to really experience the fun. So we have this conversation quite a bit because I'm a big work-life balance kind of guy. I'm a work hard, play hard kind of guy. And then lately I've been telling Bill I'm a relax hard kind of guy. So I work, I play.
He does relax hard. I can attest.
When the light switch goes off, I'm relaxing pretty hard. But enjoying life while you live life is important to me. So whether it's a vacation, whether it's a date with a wife, whether it's just go to the park and toss the ball around. It doesn't take a lot of time to recharge your batteries and invest in the people you love the most. So not always just asking for the next dollar to be saved for the future.
Yes.
Because if I retire till I'm 70 years old and I die at 75, I've got 5 years to spend whatever money I saved. No, I would like to enjoy that life, and I would rather leave the legacy for my children by knowing the father that I am versus the dollar I've left them down the road. I'm hoping that I've taught my kids to live a good life, and so I don't have to leave them a whole lot of money. They can just kind of live,
They're good
people.
kids.
They're
I know
good
them
kids.
both.
They're good kids.
You know, and yeah, you really hit it on the head. It doesn't take much sometimes. And I always think to my father, we knew each other. I don't think I quite, Bill, I'm not 100% sure if I knew you yet when my dad died. And this was
Maybe not.
This was the fall of 18.
Was
of
probably
18.
around that time.
I think I had just really started getting to know
Sure.
James on more than just a cursory level. But, you know, I always think to my father that he worked so hard and he passed at 68 of esophageal cancer. And, you know, it's just one of those things. But, you know, his biggest concern was, is mom going to be okay? Is his wife going to be okay? And
Right.
I was sitting with him 2 days before he died, and we were having this conversation of, you know, we did the right things. We took our time. We did our diligence. Mom's going to be okay. Don't worry. I got it. I got it taken care of, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be there for her.
Yeah.
Not just as her son, but as her financial guy.
Yeah.
So, and just yesterday, I'm out with my son, and I said, you know, and we don't do this nearly as much as we should, but last hurricane we had this big game of pick up sticks, you know, cleaning up the yard.
All right.
And I told him, I said, hey, you want to go for a little walk? We can see who can find the biggest stick. And, you know, he's 4 years old.
Right.
So to him, you know, that's amazing. You know, we went and said hello to the ducks. We looked for sticks, walked around. We took the dog with us, and it was just 30 minutes. But you know what? That was the greatest part of my day.
Yeah.
I was just taking a little 30-minute walk with my 4-year-old
Yeah.
and going and talking, just talking with him.
And I'm sure it meant more to him than it did you even. To you, it's picking up sticks, spending time with your 4-year-old.
Yeah.
With him, I'm spending time with my dad.
Dad.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's so important.
It's good. I'm trying to learn all this stuff, man. I don't have all the answers, and I'm kind of a newbie when it comes to the parenting arena. I got vets like you guys to fall back on, and
I should have been making notes along the way.
I know. I forgot more than I know.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle, thanks for being here. Tell our audience, if they want to get hold of you, what's the best way to get hold of you?
easiest way in the world is just call our office, 407-271-8029, or you can email me at kyle.davis at prudential.com. And I respond personally every time. There's no answering service. You call, you're going to get me.
That is great. Well, thank you very much for coming, Kyle. Thanks everyone for
great
listening.
to have you. Good to see you
Wonderful
today.
time.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
All right. We'd like to thank you for listening to the Hole in the Wall Business Podcast with Bill and James. We'd love for you to join our Facebook group and keep the conversation going. If you'd like to learn more about us and our business, check us out at holeinthewall.com. If you'd like to learn more about how to start a Hole in the Wall franchise, go to holeinthewallfranchising.com.